because what we're seeing here is something I did not think was going to be the case. And I feel like a little bit of this is almost being pushed under the rug, per se. Now, I'm going to show you a comparison, okay? So, they show this as retired Navy SEAL and trailblazer for transgender troops detransitioning, critical of VA care. They don't even show them. They don't. Not at all, right? Now, I want to go over easily. They show who it is. Daily Signal does. TVP World. Fox News. Like, all these people are, going the other way talking about this. And if you just do some basic search here, I don't see CNN talking about it at all. Which I want to let you guys know. CNN did an entire news video segment on Chris Beck and how he's living in an RV and all this other stuff. So when I look at that, I have to kind of see it a little interesting to say like, oh, so when your narrative is met, it's pushed. When it's opposed, you don't push it. But there's this clip about the regret of transitioning. He talks about it because Joe Rogan kind of pressed him on the issue during one of the streams that they had, that it was like, do you agree with this being put on kids? And I saw that clip. I said, watch, something big is going to happen with this guy. And I wish I had said it. I wish I had physically said it out there and made a video about it before it even happened, because I was like, whoa, wait. You're going against what this narrative has been. And I know how this works. So even though Chris Beck, and I can legally say it because it's not dead naming, he's transitioned back, went to this level, had said, yeah, I'm transitioned. But he said, but my line drawn is here at kids, right? It is insanity to me that I feel like what pushed him back to pendulum swing the whole way back was that one thing he did not agree with the narrative that pushed it back that other way. Here, military.com, because they're going to be what some people would say is less biased. But okay. So they're saying a decorated Navy SEAL who became the most high-profile veteran to advocate for allowing transgender Americans to serve openly in the U.S. military is no longer living as a woman and says he regrets contributing to the growing acceptance of trans rights for youth. Not for adults, right? So he's saying for youth specifically. Says Chris Beck is most known to Americans as Kristen Beck, co-authored of the 2013 memoir on his transition and was subject to the 2014 CNN documentary Lady Valor, the Kristen Beck story. As Kristen, he attended rallies on LGBTQ rights, if I can speak today, and spoke at forums on transgender military service. So, when this happened, I will be fair. I was like, okay, a little off-putting. You've done your retirement level of service. You deployed. Like, I can't get mad about it. You've done everything. Like, you didn't take away your ability to deploy by doing this during active duty service. Like, you just wanted to be an advocate. And that was commendable because it's like, cool, you're not doing anything that would hurt anybody else, and this is your life and you're doing it. That is okay with me. And if you look back at all the publicity that got from that, you didn't see people like bashing him and saying he should never be an Navy SEAL. There may be individuals that said that, but that was not the narrative by any means. And if anything, he was put up on the pedestal in 2014, 2015. And now we're seeing him being knocked down after the Joe Rogan podcast, which it says the retired SEAL who earned a Purple Heart and Bronze Star with Combat V device during 20 years of service and 7 combat deployments attributed his transition decision to the mental health support he received at the Department of Veteran Affairs and elsewhere. Beck said after spending about an hour with the VA psychologist saying he had a habit as a child wearing dresses and felt relief dressing in women's clothing, he was prescribed hormones. He was connected with another psychologist and as Kristen Beck co-wrote a book with her about the experience, Warrior Princess, the U.S. Navy SEAL's journey to coming out. The day after the book was published, he came out nationally during an interview on CNN with Anderson Cooper and went on to be the most public face of the trans rights community in the U.S. military. Now, that is also notable because if you guys don't know, Anderson Cooper is also part of the LGBTQ community, so it almost feels like they were fostering him, bringing him in as much as possible, which again, I have no personal issues with people that are there. I kind of see the criticism of Chris Beck now very ironic now that it's Chris Beck instead of Kristen Beck. And he says, On the podcast, however, Beck said the experience destroyed his life, and he now wants to speak out against what he said is not only the normalization of changing gender identity in American teens, but the popularization of gender therapies. Says, do whatever you want if you're over the age 25. If you are 25 or older, go do surgeries. Go do everything you want. You're an adult, Beck said, but 13-year-olds should not have an unpack this. And seeing that, like I said, I looked at that and I said, oh boy, this guy is committing career suicide. He made a book. It was doing appearances and was probably getting paid for all these things. And he had nothing to go. Like, if anything, he's losing money from making this stance, right? Now, you could say him going on Tucker Carlson making money that way too. Who knows? But he then goes on to say, everything that happened to me in the last 10 years destroyed my life. No, I destroyed my life. I'm not a victim. I did this to myself, but I had help, he said. And I have to say, looking from this perspective, 7 combat deployments, probably some level of mental health issues already there, right? To then add confusion where he maybe felt a little coerced or prompted that he was in this is kind of crazy. And for him to, I guess, have some clarity, maybe looking back and being able to digest it, he's being very critical of the VA. And the criticism of the VA has not been a secret, as far as access to care, quality of care. I mean, we've had Veteran Affairs patients actually take their own lives in the parking lot of a Veteran Affairs facility. So, to say, like, we're not only going to, contribute to that narrative of saying the VA is bad because of the care and access to care they have, but also what quality of care they have. And that's the trifecta of healthcare in general: access to care, quality care, and cost of care. But he says here, the VA's mission is to meet the healthcare goals and needs of every veteran patient. Recognizing that these goals and needs can change over time, the VA press secretary said. And then they go on to say, this really is a period in which you need to receive good, competent care, particularly if you're sorting through these issues of sexual and gender identity, Rudd said. I wonder if there's anybody else at scale that's doing this, right? I have to say, I commend somebody that says I made a mistake. I pushed something that I didn't really believe in. I was not mature enough to understand that. There is some medical side to this where some basic understanding is these people that are wanting this to be done on kids or whatever else, I have to say, like, we're going to some gray territory where we don't know a lot of things of how kids will react in years and, when you start messing with this stuff. Because there are developmental stages, right? And then we're throwing other variables and factors that just leave us with a lot more questions. But